Fossil fuel subsidies depress the price of carbon, and that means that it makes it cheaper to extract fossils from the ground. It makes it cheaper to consume fossil fuels, and it makes it cheaper to push fossil fuels into the atmosphere.
It's a logical inconsistency on the one hand for governments to be subsidising the production and consumption of fossil fuels, and at the same time seeking to put a price on carbon.
Keeping prices artificially low, in my view, is also something which encourages the population but also the industry to waste consumption, to not take care about efficiency, and that's not what we want at the end of the day.
Fossil fuel subsidies are huge and persistent. It's 548 billion every single year that governments are spending on fossil fuel subsidies.
I know where this is coming from. It's coming from oil and gas industry lobbying, very often saying to policymakers, you know, gas is the future, and really you've got to put the lid on these renewables. This is going too fast. You'll put off gas investors.
We know that phasing out these subsidies is highly politically sensitive and has to be very carefully handled if it is going to succeed.
We are going to have to get rid of the things that we're doing which are frankly inefficient from the perspective of protecting the poor, from the perspective of growing, and from the perspective of decarbonising. And the poster child for all of that is fossil fuel subsidy reform.
And this isn't theory anymore, this is happening in practice. In the last year we've seen significant reforms in India and Indonesia. And so more countries will look towards reforming fossil fuel subsidies as a way of meeting their energy targets.
Nous avons comme objectif, dans le cadre de la stratégie politique, d'atteindre 6 000 gigawatts à l'horizon 2020 et de faire en sorte que les énergies renouvelables, qu'elles soient solaires, éoliennes ou hydrauliques, participent à hauteur de 42% dans notre mix énergétique.
Reforming fossil fuel subsidies is a win-win-win type of proposition. You know, on one hand, you're dealing with often with subsidies that are very costly and drag down the fiscal accounts, and so reforming them can really strengthen the fiscal condition of a country. A second benefit is that by reducing distortions in the fossil fuel market, what you're doing is you are giving renewables a chance to prosper.
If you look at how fast the costs are coming down with many clean energy technologies, particularly solar and particularly storage of electricity, you can see that there is huge potential to displace fossil fuels.
The United States, with other countries, has been promoting a peer review process, both in the G20 and APEC, to encourage countries to self-report on the inefficient fossil fuel subsidies that they might have in the books. And we think that's important because it generates a process of transparency.
So that transparency generates momentum, countries start looking at each other's things, there's a bit of pressure then to start opening this up. And as we move forward in the agreement, I think that's going to become a really important tool.
A number of people have talked about, you know, the heroes that we need in the next year and the heroes that will have to be celebrated in Paris. You know, frankly, elected leaders who can sit down in front of an electorate and explain why one policy is not working well enough for them, why another one might do better, and what they will do to protect them in the process of moving from one policy framework to another. You know, those people are heroes.
But there is a real opportunity with the process that's underway for parties to table their intended contributions in 2015. To consider the inclusion of measures to reform fossil fuel subsidies as part of that. We know that there are mitigation benefits that derive from it, and it seems like a golden opportunity.
So this is the route to salvation. This is a route to surviving climate change, a route to renaissance. And if we can correct the dysfunctional allocation of subsidies, we can accelerate that. And of course, that is ultimately what we need to do if we're going to have a fighting chance of staying below 2 degrees Celsius.